Have you ever wondered why some people struggle to save even a tiny portion of their income, while others seem to quietly build wealth in the background without any stress? Think about it for a second. Same world, same 24 hours, and often eben, similar incomes yet completely different financial outcomes. And here's the part that might surprise you the most. The difference isn't talent, luck, or even how much money they make. The real difference is how they think about money. Today, I'm going to show you a system that has been followed by millions of people who have turned saving money into a habit so powerful that it almost feels automatic. This isn't about getting rich overnight, winning the lottery, or making risky investments. It's about a mindset and a structure that slowly but consistently builds financial strength over time. And once you understand it, your entire perspective on money might completely change. Let's start with a simple question. If you earn $100, how much do you actually save? Be honest with yourself. Maybe $5, maybe $10, or maybe nothing at all. Now imagine this. There are people who take that same $100 and save $30, $40, sometimes even $50. That's not a small improvement. That's a completely different way of living. And the crazy part is, they're not necessarily earning more than you. In many cases, they aren't less but still end up with more money at the end of the year. There are even real-life stories of individuals who have taken this to an extreme level. One person decided to live on just a small fraction of their income and save nearly 90% consistently for years. No lottery wins, no crypto luck, no shortcuts, just discipline, consistency, and a clear system. Over time, that one decision completely transformed their life. They built assets, created security, and most importantly, gained freedom, the kind of freedom most people spend their entire lives chasing. So what's the secret behind this? Why can some people do this so effortlessly while others feel stuck in a constant cycle of earning and spending? The answer begins with something very simple but incredibly powerful. They aim higher than everyone else. While most people think about saving whatever is left at the end of the month, these individuals start by setting aggressive saving targets. Instead of aiming for 5% or 10%, they think in terms of 40%, 50%, or even more. Now, they don't always hit those numbers. But that's not the point. Even if they fall short, they still end up saving far more than the average person. And over time, that gap becomes massive. But mindset alone isn't enough. The real shift happens in how they handle money the moment it comes in. Most people follow a simple pattern. They earn, they spend, and then they try to save whatever is left. The problem is, there's usually nothing left. But disciplined savers flip this completely. The moment they receive income, a portion is immediately set aside for savings. It's not optional. It's not flexible. It's treated like a fixed expense, just like rent or food. Whatever remains after saving is what they use to live their life. This one shift turns saving from a weak intention into a powerful habit. Another major reason behind their success is how clearly they understand the difference between needs and wants. Most people blur this line without even realizing it. They convince themselves that they need things that are actually just wants, often influenced by marketing, social pressure, or emotions. You might need a phone, but you don't need the most expensive one. You might need clothes, but you don't need to constantly upgrade them. These small decisions may seem harmless, but over time they quietly destroy your ability to build wealth. On the other hand, when you become intentional with your spending, every dollar you don't waste becomes a resource that can work for you in the future. Then comes one of the most powerful traits of all: patience. We live in a world designed to make you spend instantly. Everything is built around urgency, limited offers, flash sales, one-click purchases, and most people fall into that trap without thinking. But disciplined savers operate differently. They pause, they think, they delay decisions, because they understand something most people ignore. Every impulsive purchase is a step away from financial freedom, and every delayed decision is a step closer to it. Over time, this single habit can completely reshape your financial life. Debt is another area where the difference becomes very clear. For most people, debt has become normal. Monthly payments, credit cards, installments, it's all part of everyday life. But highly disciplined savers see debt very differently. To them, debt is not convenience, it's a trap, because every time you borrow money, you are committing your future income before you've even earned it. And that creates pressure, limits flexibility, and slows down your progress. Instead, they prefer to wait, save, and pay in full. It might take longer, but it gives them something far more valuable than speed: control. Another habit that separates them from everyone else is tracking. Most people have a vague idea of where their money goes. They think they reign control, but in reality, small expenses quietly drain their accounts every single month. Food deliveries, subscriptions, random purchases, they don't seem like much individually, but together they add up fast. Disciplined savers eliminate this problem by tracking everything. Every dollar has a purpose. Every expense is visible, and when you have that level of clarity, you gain something incredibly powerful: awareness. And awareness leads to better decisions. Interestingly, their lifestyle choices also play a huge role. They don't chase expensive habits or try to impress others with material things. Instead, they focus on simple, meaningful experiences. They find satisfaction in things that don't require constant spending. This allows them to maintain a fulfilling life without increasing their expenses. And because their happiness isn't tied to spending, they become far more resilient during tough times. When you combine all of these habits: high saving goals, prioritizing savings, controlling spending, avoiding debt, tracking money, and living simply, you start to see something powerful happen. Saving money stops feeling difficult. It stops feeling like a sacrifice. Instead, it becomes a natural outcome of how you live your life. And once you reach that point, everything changes. But here's the most interesting part. This isn't just about individual habits. In many cases, it's a system supported by family and environment. Money isn't treated as a private or stressful topic. It's discussed openly. Goals are shared. Progress is visible. This creates accountability and alignment, where everyone moves in the same direction. Instead of working against each other, people work together, and that makes the entire process faster and more effective. This also removes one of the biggest problems most people face: the mystery of where their money disappears. When you track, discuss, and review your finances regularly, nothing stays hidden. Wasteful habits become obvious. Bad decisions get corrected. And over time, your financial life becomes more structured and predictable. Instead of feeling stressed about money, you start to feel in control of it. What makes this approach so powerful is that it doesn't rely on motivation. It relies on systems, and systems are what create consistency. When something becomes part of your routine, you don't have to think about it anymore. You just do Italiano. And that's when real progress begins. Now, here's the truth. You don't need to copy everything perfectly to see results. You don't need to suddenly start saving 50% of your income. Even small changes can create massive impact over time. Start by tracking your spending for 1 month. Understand your patterns. Then slowly increase your savings rate. Even a 5% improvement can build momentum. And once that momentum starts, it becomes easier to keep going. Because at the end of the day, financial freedom is not about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and how well you manage it. And once you learn to control your money, instead of letting it control you, everything starts to change. But this is just the beginning. Because in part 2, we're going to dive deeper into the hidden psychological and cultural forces that make this system so powerful, and why most people fail even when they know exactly what to do. Now, here's where things get really interesting, because everything you've heard so far might make you think that saving money is just about discipline. Work harder, spend less, save more. Sounds simple, right? But if it were really that simple, then why do most people still struggle? Why do people know exactly what they should do, but still end up broke at the end of the month? The answer lies much deeper than habits. It lies in psychology. You see, most people don't have a money problem. They have a behavior problem. Because your financial life is not controlled by your income. It's controlled by your decisions. And your decisions are controlled by your environment, your emotions, and your habits. Let me explain something that most people completely ignore. Every time you make a purchase, you're not just spending money. You're making a trade. You're trading your future for something in the present. That random online order, that expensive dinner, that I deserve this moment. It feels small, but over time these decisions stack up, and slowly they build a life you didn't plan. Now here's where the system becomes powerful. Instead of relying on willpower for every decision, successful savers remove the need to decide at all. They create systems. They eat at the same places. They buy the same things. They follow routines. Not because they lack options, but because they understand something powerful. Every decision costs energy, and when you're forced to make too many decisions, you eventually break. You give in. You overspend. You regret. That's called decision fatigue, and it silently destroys your financial discipline. But when your life is saving becomes automatic. You don't fight temptation. You eliminate it. Now let's talk about something even more dangerous. Dangerous. Social pressure. Most people don't spend money for themselves. They spend money to be seen, to look successful, to feel accepted, to avoid feeling left behind. New phone, better clothes, expensive car, not because they need it, but because everyone else has it. And this is where most people lose the game, because they're playing the wrong one. They're trying to impress people who are also broke. But here's what smart savers do differently. They flip the script. Instead of chasing status through spending, they build status through discipline. They don't care if someone is driving a luxury car. They care if that car is fully paid off. They don't care about appearances. They care about ownership. And this one mindset shift changes everything. Now let's go deeper, because this next point is something most people will never understand. In many high-saving cultures, money is not a private topic. It's not hidden. It's not avoided. It's discussed openly within the family. Everyone knows the goal. Everyone knows the plan. Everyone knows the progress. And that creates something incredibly powerful. Accountability. When everyone is aligned, spending becomes intentional. Saving becomes a team effort. And progress becomes visible. Now, compare that to most households where money is stressful, conversations are avoided, and no one really knows what's going on. That confusion is expensive, because when you don't have clarity, you lose control. And when you lose control, you lose money. But here's where it gets even more powerful. These savers don't just focus on saving money. They focus on where that money goes next. And this is something that can completely change your future. They treat education and skills as the highest return investment. Think about it like this. If you invest money into something that increases your earning ability, that return compounds for years, even decades. A better skill, a better opportunity, a better income stream, all created from one smart decision. This is why some people stay stuck, while others keep growing. Because one spends money to look rich, and the other spends money to become valuable. Now here's the part that most people don't want to hear. Saving money is not hard. What's hard is becoming the type of person who can do it consistently. Because it requires you to say no. When everyone else is saying yes, it requires you to think long-term. When everything around you is short-term, it requires you to stay focused when distractions are everywhere. But if you can build this, even slowly, everything changes. Because Once saving becomes a habit, it creates something powerful. Options, and options give you freedom. Freedom to say no. Freedom to take risks. Freedom to walk away. And that's the real goal. Not just money, but control over your life. So here's what you need to do. Don't try to change everything overnight. Start small. Track your spending. Cut one unnecessary expense. Increase your savings slightly. And then repeat. Again and again. Because success in money is not about one big decision. It's about hundreds of small ones, made consistently. And if you stick with it, one day you'll look back and realize something powerful. You're no longer trying to save money. You've become someone who naturally builds wealth. Asterisk, asterisk. And when that happens, people will start asking you the same question. How are you making it look so easy?